And welcome back. And the Nutrimedical report, we're one day away from Election Day. I'm looking at all of the different polls and information, which I think are incorrect, because a lot of people are afraid to speak out publicly because of all the negative ads about Donald Trump. It will almost always start an argument, often trash your car, have your signs in your front lawn destroyed. The aggressiveness of the Democrats, I call the progressive maniacs, is pretty hard. And it's hard to accept that a large portion of the American population would vote for someone as corrupt and evil as Hillary Clinton. It actually turns my stomach that people would even consider her, considering how bad. And then, or they put on an equal footing the fact of being a liar or being an unacceptable person, Donald Trump, which is completely ridiculous. He has a strong family. He's been a successful businessman. On the media, in fact, until he ran for president, treated him with great respect. And the fact that they're not right now, and the people are been affected by this massive media pylon, and literally stack him up as saying the unreliable or a liar, is absolutely disgusting, not based on facts, not even reasonable emotion. It's just ridiculous. So I want to touch on some of the things that are kind of coming. I had an interesting email from one of my old colleagues who's recovering from a stroke, but he's still got a lot of clues about him, a lot more than a lot of these people who are going to vote for Hillary. Anthony J. Hilder, and I thought this was quite telling for Anthony to send me this email over the weekend. And one of the things I find quite amazing is how people can justify things that defy logic or common sense or decency. And if you look down to the list of things that how can I say it? The justification for supporting Hillary, whether quote she's a woman or she's got experience. It's all bad experience. In fact, Jill Stein, who actually has a clue and is a female, stands up and says, look, she'll bring us to World War III. She's just as strident as Donald Trump about the fact that Hillary's foreign military policy is a super hawk that's very dangerous. I mean, she's even more dangerous than George Bush. So you have to understand what's going on here. Let's see. Looks like our friend Jim can't make it today. That's okay. We'll call in 800-313-9443. We are having some other people trying to track down and see if we can get here early. Leo Zagami didn't make it last week on Thursday. We may be able to get him if he's somewhere around in the blogosphere over in Rome. They're still suffering from their earthquakes. And that's pretty disturbing to see that. Let's see if we can find Mr. Hilder. H-I-L-D-E-R. Here we are. The choice. Okay. Let's go through his choice in terms of, if we choose the choice in policy, Supreme Court packed with liberals. Liberals will destroy the Constitution, by the way. Nominate rational people. They'll support the Constitution as not a living document. Jobs. Create government jobs. And, of course, that'll mean more and more debt. Number 2, Trump, create private jobs. Taxes. Increase for the middle class. It will increase, by the way. You're not going to get a decrease. It's going to be decreased for all, including middle class, etc. Foreign policy war with Syria and Russia. Trump, no wars. Trade. Free trade and bad deals. Trump, fair trade and good deals. New World Order, yes, which means no borders. They estimate in the next 10 years there could be 600 to 800 million additional citizens will just wander across the border and there'll be no control whatsoever. Hillary wants to bring in 550%. Now, if you're an idiot and vote for Hillary, believe me, you're going to pay through the nose in every possible way with violence, unemployment, devastation, and giant, we call super cities that are dying. American Union, North American Union, yes, which means no more borders. Canada, United States, Mexico, all one super state. American Union, no. Okay, military, weakened. Trump, strengthened. Border control, open and unlimited. Under Trump, controlled. Help minorities. No help. There's not going to be help for the blacks. They're voting reflexively, about 83% according to the polls I've seen. Why are you black people voting for Hillary? She's going to do nothing for you. Trump is committed. All the senior black people, including even the fight promoters and even Louis Farrakhan, they all support the idea that Trump is going to make the inner cities strong, safe, and good education, and literally bring it back local and make sure that they have good schools to go to so they have careers. Family, weakened. Trump strengthened. Abortion, yes, including partial gross abortion to the moment of delivery. LGBT agenda. Push to the limit. us do basically nothing but protect people of any orientation so they're not slaughtered like the Pulse nightclub. Wall Street and banks, no regulations, and of course regulation, including Glass-Steagall, government corruption, unlimited. And of course Trump's policies to end it and end up the pay for play and all the other foolishness, unlimited. Under Hillary Clinton, she's going to set up shop. She'll continue what she's been doing for 30 years. Prosecute political criminals? No way. Under Trump, yes. Bill of Rights? Do away with them. Keep them. And of course, she's going to use executive orders because she's going to have a Congress that will be Republican, almost certainly a Senate that will be Republican. It may be shrunk down to a margin of 1 or 2 votes, but it'll still be Republican, which means that just like Richard Nixon in his second term, he was a lame duck president, and a year and a half later he was impeached. So it's very likely that the investigations, and when I hear comments from the Democrats, they think it's all whitewashed now, it's all fine, and everything's gone. Keep moving, keep moving. No, it's not. In fact, the investigation of the Clinton Foundation, which is a bigger deal in many ways and much easier to prosecute, the Jason Chaffetz and the others at Congress are going to continue chasing the emails and public and the security issues in terms of probably which agents died, what public secret agent things were released. They said a 99% chance that there was emails that were hacked in by foreign five great powers, including probably Russia, China, Iran, etc. Privacy, do away with it. Of course, keep it. Personal freedom, do away with it. Bill of Rights, do away with them. So if you look at all these choices, why would anybody choose Hillary? Unless they want hell on earth. It really is pretty remarkable. And, I think that people need to start reevaluating, do they want to create a disaster here in America? Do they really want to? To me, it's amazing. Let's look at some of the latest Drudge Report issues. Election endgame fight, final charge through battleground states. Now, if you look at all the polls, you'll see a lot of the polls now are tilting toward Trump. I believe that the momentum to win is at his back. Trump pops to the biggest lead on the TT and the IDP TIPP lead. Rasmussen, Clinton 2+, wait, LA Times, Trump 5+. Mexico, of course, has got these Trump piñatas that they're literally breaking because they want to, literally either mass immigrate to America or make sure they continue the sucking sound of business and corporations moving to Mexico from America. Ford small car plant, Carrier air conditioning are just a few of the top. So it's pretty ridiculous what's going on here. After crushing Trump piñatas, Mexicans hope he loses. And China warns again. Jill Stein, Hillary presidency, mushroom clouds waiting to happen. In other words, nuclear war. And the stocks go boom. Florida shock. Trump outperforms Romney by 130,000 early voting. So that means it's very probable you're going to start seeing most of the swing states actually will go Trump's way. That'll bring up to the 260s. If he gets, say his second district of Maine, if he has a few other things, he's going to do really well. So this is really important to understand what's going on here. So what I see happening is a big shocker, although it's tilted toward the Democrats and Hillary Clinton in terms of the Electoral College. I think that you're going to see the massive amount of effort and the energy of people who are just totally fed up with the evilness and corruption from Hillary Clinton. That I don't believe the odds are 3-1 for Hillary to win. I think they're more like 50-50. And if she does win, she's going to be impeached within a year to year and a half. And if she doesn't die from her medical illnesses, which they're also trying to hide. But they don't care. They don't care if she dies. They'll continue with Tim Kaine and his policies because the globalists want to continue open borders, globalization of America, destruction of our economy, destruction of the family. They want to continue with this policy, which is to literally make us a borderless world under their control. Another issue that's popping up is another earthquake in Oklahoma, 5.0 magnitude quake. And, of course, quakes all over the place, including up in Italy. We've talked about this before in our science blog. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but it's a major issue, and it's going to increase. The globalists are fully aware about what's going on in terms of the climate, etc. And we need to collaborate with advanced science people like the Russians and Chinese and the Europeans. to solve these problems in terms of the gravity waves coming in from deep space. Apparently WikiLeaks has some information that they're going to release shortly about Nibiru, which is really not Planet X. It's actually a dwarf star with orbital objects around it that's approached the outer solar system. And as it reapproaches on this hyperelliptical orbit every 20-some thousand years, it increases the chances of solar changes in the energy output, nuclear reactions in the inner planets, and the gravity waves triggering off earthquakes and volcanoes, etc., by releasing here on Earth nascent water from nascent oxygen and hydrogen. So, we talked about the science in the past. These things, the globalists are pretty well aware of what's going on there. Even the Philippines is kind of finished with America. They've canceled their U.S. rifle order. We have, of course, Comey, the top central panel there says, Comey the clown. Comey, you can't justify this. He puts on that smirky face with his puffy eyes. I'm thinking, Comey, I'm sure in the FBI bureau, people can't even look you straight in the face. You can't do this. You can't look through with electronics alone 650,000 emails, and even if a lot of them are the same, it just means that there are more unsecure emails out in another place on this, pedophiles email with Abedin. I mean, that's just beyond ridiculous. And it doesn't need to be intent. It just has to be the fact that she mishandled them. And you're not a determiner of intent anyway, because that should be the Department of Justice. But they punted it because they already did something very evil. And, if Trump gets in immediately, you're going to start seeing some prosecutions of this Department of Justice Director Muslim, Loretta Lynch. And Comey, you're on the firing line right now too. 3 times doing this is ridiculous. It has affected the election, but it's not over. A lot of Democrats are trying to say that she's been completely cleared. She's fine now. She's not. The foundation has got even more issues that come out on WikiLeaks, etc. And they can't deny any of these things because they'll try to say that there's going to be a scam. It's this and that in the last day or two of the election. It's not. The level of corruption is so high, no one rational, and believe me, there's a lot of very rational Americans that would vote for Hillary. It's very disgusting that they will do this, because if they tie this country up for at least a couple of years until we clear her out of office, and it'll be paralyzed. You're going to see the Congress and Senate will, at every step of the way, block Hillary. She'll try to even use executive orders to do things as the chief witch. And if she does get in power, it's going to be gridlock, and it's not going to be good. It'll be a horrible situation. We won't expand our military, get an alternative to Obamacare. We won't deal with our borders. We'll have foreign policy that'll bring us to the brink of war with Russia. As Jill Stein says, it could bring us to an actual nuclear war. So, people need to realize what's going on here. We also have, by the way, the death at 78 of Janet Reno, and there's a little history here. Janet Reno had a big argument with Hillary Clinton during the time of the issues in Waco, Texas, and it was Hillary who actually insisted on the kill order to go in and raid the facility and kill, I think it was 18 children, a lot of other people died. Janet Reno dying now at 78, her secrets, of course, are gone with her, but the fact it was Hillary that called that kill order in, even though she was a, quote, first lady. Believe it or not, a lot of the really bad judgments and things that were done during the Bill Clinton era were on her watch, when she did. I mean, this is a very, very incompetent, very evil person. And it's embarrassing that this kind of person is actually running for office and has a pretty good probability. And again, on top of it, we've got the Abominator actually recommending on video that illegals vote. I mean, and say, hey, just take your driver's license and go in and vote. No, they're not citizens. You're telling them to do a crime there, Obama. You should be arrested on the spot for even recommending that as, the commander-in-chief. It's hard to believe that this country will do this. And foreign monitors are monitoring our elections. They must be embarrassed to say you don't have proper voter ID to validate. You have people registered in more than one state. You've got 1.8 million that are actually registered to vote that are dead since the 1940s. I mean, really, it's like you've got to be kidding that this is really going on. So I'm just hoping that the massive amount of frustration by people will show up for their votes and vote Trump. I'm really expecting that when this election the dust is all settled, and we start emptying the swamp, and I'm going to add to it, not only draining the swamp, but pumping out the latrine of the garbage. It's not just a swamp. This is just a lot of really bad things that have happened over many decades, over multiple what I call corrupt regimes, both Democrat and Republican, which is why George Bush Sr. and Jr. support Hillary Clinton, because of the same crime family. In fact, George Bush Sr. has called Bill Clinton his adopted son because they're involved, of course, in the crime of illegal drug running. So, Trump is outperforming Romney, 130,000 votes in Florida, 142,000 in North Carolina. I think he's going to take these battleground states. Once he has those, he's really close to striking the 270 mark, and I think you're going to see some other states like Michigan swing toward Trump because they are being devastated. That's my home state. When I was born there, my father was working there, my uncles. It was the strongest economy in America was Detroit. Now it's probably the weakest. And the people there have got to understand any more democratic management, and they literally are talking about selling parts of the state to China because the Chinese will come in, they'll re-engineer the state, they'll bring back industry because our politicians are so incompetent they can't do a damn thing right. And Hillary Clinton is no example. Then I see these polls that say that Hillary Clinton has a better temperament than Obama. She's just got a shrill, shrieking voice yelling at people. It's just obscene for them to make those kind of statements. Donald Trump comes out with solid policies, solid statements. His family right there, Melania, his sons, both Eric and Donald Jr. I'm just amazed that people can make statements in our faces that defy the facts right in front of us. It's just, the media are completely losing it. Completely losing it. They're losing any respect whatsoever. And as far as I'm concerned, we are now becoming the media, the alternative media. And by the way, I'm announcing that tonight I will have my new software set up for my direct live stream video broadcasting, which means I can have up to 10 different broadcast sites anywhere in the world live and broadcast in high definition anywhere in the world onto any platform, iPad, iPhone, computer, etc. That is going to be, that software will be all instituted tonight, and I may even have it up for tomorrow to deal with the election and post-election follow-up, because I'll have multiple guests on at multiple locations. So, that's another service we're going to provide for you. Most of these sessions will be totally free. You just have to do a log-on in order to be able to pull it up on whatever device you have, including, you could be in your car watching on a video, you could be in your computer, you can be anywhere on the planet, and it's going to be available. So we will replace the media with the technology we have nowadays. That's going to happen. Some of the other news that's happening as well, and I'd like to often go to GreenMed Info. We have DHEA and pregnenolone and femgestrone to reverse female menopause. I often recommend you take with that hormone synergy to prevent male hormone. For men, we have Men's Max and hormone synergy and DHEA and pregnenolone. We're also considering adding a topical transdermal estrogen for women and testosterone for men. That will become available, but I think you have to take a DHEA and pregnenolone because you want your own sexual organs to make the hormone rather than just have it external. So you may use a combination. You don't want pellets or injections because that guarantees problems. And in fact, in female hormone, this horse mare urine is a 16-hydroxyestrone. That converted to a carcinogen. You do not want to take the conventional treatment by the conventional doctors for breast cancer increases because the 16-hydroxyestrone is a carcinogenic molecule. And of course, we also want to detox your body from xenotoxins, xenoestrogens, which is why we have things like BioLVR and xenoestrogen detox. And of course, the life support helps with sulfation, glucuronidation, and methylation pathways to detox these xenotoxins and hormone endocrine disruptors, it's called. So, very important. We'll be back in a moment. Your questions on the pre-election day, 800-313-9443, 800-313-9443. Mountain Red Velvet Karen will be on a little early, and of course Jim is going to be on a little later. He'll be on hour 2 as he usually is, but we'll Eastern time. And we want to hear his comments not only about PPRDI, the Peak Performance Research and Development Institute, which is our first major clinic that actually does mobile testing in New York City, and he'll actually travel up to an hour or so to actually meet you and actually do the testing from their van, which is QRMA or Metapathia with Hunter. You have to purchase a consultation first because it's not just a test, it's a consult because I meshed together the data from your medical wellness history and any records you have with the test analyses in order to come up with a final report. It's not just boom, you do the test and it tells you what to do like some kind of robot. The robot's me. I actually take all that data, analyze it, and merge it together. I'm the supercomputer, okay? So you can't just go boom and do the test and think that it's going to tell you what to do and you can replace Dr. DEAGLE. Ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. But it adds another dimension that makes it much more accurate. It'll tell me if you've got a specific organ or tissue problem, a genetic problem, a lipid problem, a toxin problem. It'll identify pathogens. It's amazing. So if you want to get these tests done, you can contact Jim and PPRDI. So that's really important. Now, after the election, here's what I'm predicting. Number one, they're going to do everything they can to steal this election because they keep on continuing to say, even though she can't fill a gymnasium, that they're saying that Hillary's going to win. In fact, the odds were 8-1. Now they're down to 3-1. The problem with that is if they shove Hillary in there, she's going to be dealing with a Congress that's Republican and a Senate that's Republican, even with a shrunk majority. That'll mean basically a situation where the FBI will continue investigating, where there'll still be indictments, where there'll still be all kinds of issues going on, and eventually there'll be an impeachment of Hillary Clinton. That's going to take about maybe a year and a half. She will, in the meantime, be hamstrung, so even her policies that she wants to put in place won't happen. So all you people out there that want to see Hillary in and see her do all these things isn't going to happen, number one, because thank God we have the balance of power of the other houses of government. And number two, it's illegal what they did. I mean, they're encouraging not only people to vote that are dead, people who are in multiple states and they bust them, and illegals to vote with a driver's license, 2.8 million illegals here in California alone. When Obama actually comes on and videotapes and says this, it's so obscene, it's just beyond belief that he actually would do that, but he does. Because I don't think Obama cares. I mean, really, the fact is if you go to fly to Kenya, they'll show you his memorial for the fact that he was born in Kenya. He had a phony birth certificate fessed up and photoshopped in Hawaii. He applied as an Occidental student, as a foreign student in Occidental University in California. He later transferred to Columbia. He was paid, his Columbia University training was paid for by a Saudi billionaire. He's totally in the back pocket of the globalists. Even his name, Barack Obama, was thought up by this big new Brzezinski, who wrote the Grand Chessboard, one of the top globalists on the planet. You have to understand that he's a manufactured entity. He's a Photoshop kid. That's why one of the first things he did wasn't for historical accuracy, for young kids to study the history of the first black president. He locked up his educational and other histories, and every picture he has is a Photoshop. You can't find a public picture that's not Photoshopped of the Abominator. So you have to understand we've been scammed, and they want to scam us again and treat our office of the presidency with great disrespect because they want to get rid of our country. So that's the facts. You want to dispute them, we can dispute them. We can give you all the information about the Photoshop birth certificate. I know that Trump had to kind of back away from that because it's so controversial. The fact is I'm not going to. Obama is not an American. We have to deal with some real serious, ugly facts here about what Hillary would do if she did have power. Believe me, even if they shove her in there, we're going to do everything we can with our picture. And from Mountain Red Velvet, I guess, because of the time difference, because we had what's called fallback rather than spring forward. And might as well talk to you now, Karen. How are you doing?
I'm great. Sorry, but time difference. So here we are on the 8th of November.
The Pacific coast, it's 10:33 right now. What time is it there in New Zealand?
7:30 in the morning on the 8th of November.
So 7:30. So it's now shrunk to a 3-hour time difference rather than a 4-hour time difference.
Okay.
And it's a day ahead. Yeah, that's different because we fell back.
Right.
One of the things that we're constantly talking about is how to regenerate your tissues in your body. A lot of people are not aware that 90% of disease is actually just aging of a tissue. And there's several different factors. The one that's most important is that if your body accumulates old damaged mitochondria or oldish damaged cells and doesn't get rid of them, the organ and tissue starts to malfunction. The damaged parts of the organ can actually send death signals to the other parts of the organ. Most powerfully, the death signal is to not absorb the mineral nutrients and the biomolecules to rebuild the organ. And so more and more of the cells become, in a sense, old. It's like having an army where you never retire anybody, and it's like, it's not 1945, it's 1995, and you still have some vets that are still in the active force, and they can't get out of bed, let alone to do any kind of drilling. And maybe only 1/5 of the people are still alive, and you bring in new troops, but the thing is, you actually try to do operations, you still have the old guys there, so things don't work. Whether you're running tanks or artillery or whatever. Now, the way that the body works is there are certain genes that actually speed up that process, like the FOXO2 gene, which actually increases apoptosis and mitophage, getting rid of old damaged mitochondria. If you have the building blocks, your body is constantly recloning yourself into a future body. For example, it's 2016 now. 2023, the person that you are in 7 years from now is not in any way, shape, or form the person you are now. They're based on the same genetics, based on the same memories that are passed on from the current clone to your future clone of yourself. So you do fractional cloning every night. Now, when that happens, your brain is releasing melatonin. There's also nuclei in the base of your brain that actually send out biophotonic signals to tell your genes how to make each organ function: liver, kidney, spleen. In fact, if you remove an organ, those biophotonic signals stop, and the organ can revert back to basically a non-organized cellular mass. What happens is, inside the fetus, there's these 396 biomolecules and 6 growth hormones, including IGF-1 and other growth hormones, that actually act in several classes. Firstly, there's structural proteins, there's enzymes, there's ionic minerals, and there's what's called transducer molecules that actually take the biophotonic signals and they stick like little microantennas through the cell membrane to translate the signal outside the cell to a different signal inside the cell, to turn on genes, to create structural proteins, and to make enzymes. They actually regulate even the process of what we call epigenetics in terms of what disease and aging are. And I'm presenting my lecture in December, but I'm putting up the videotape even in advance so everybody in the world can see it. I've cracked the code of what life is, and it's actually very simple and elegant because it's like looking at special and general relativity in terms of quantum physics. The way the cells work, even right down to bacterial cells or whatever, is that the genetic material sends a signal to the cell membrane that's the gate that allows biomolecules to come in. And those biomolecules turn genes on and off. Now, in the human cell, the most important thing is minerals. And when the mineral content is brought in through the ion channels, because the DNA and the little telomeres, which are antennae, talk to the cell membranes, they actually bring those minerals in. If all the structural proteins are present there, all the cofactors for building tissue are there, the cells build new tissues, new cells. Yeah. So whether or not it's building a joint, glycosaminoglycans, whether it's building the synovial membrane, so you have a hydroviscous layer, whether it's rebuilding your retina or the ciliary process in the edge of your eye, whether it's building brain cells or remyelinating nerve fiber tracts between different parts of your cortex, you rely on these building blocks. And if they're not present, you can't do it. It's almost like telling a contractor, well, you have so much money and so much time to do a certain job, but if the materials don't show up at the work site, it isn't going to happen. Correct. And the problem is that's why it's so important to start doing
like
that.
A new body.
Right, as they start taking Mountain Red Velvet, their body says, hey, I can do this. In fact, it should say on the bottle, your body is talking, I can do this.
I can do it. And that's it. And we do hear from people who say, gosh, I feel brand new. Thank you very much. It's like, putting the oil back in those creaky old joints. And, gosh, I can, play that round of golf again. And that's what we hear from people all the time, because there is no other product in the world that has 396 different active ingredients in each and every capsule. And they're easy to swallow. It's only 500 milligrams, so it's a nice, easy to swallow capsule.
Oh, yeah, they're small.
And as you say, it brings all of the nutrients and all of the active ingredients right to the body so that when it's needing to be healed, it's all there. The body's got it all on board.
Right, and by the way, when you look at them, if you open the capsules up, it doesn't taste bad. I put it under my tongue. Okay. I usually take 2 capsules, open one, and swallow the other one. And it's the red fuzz, auburn red fuzz, from the antler. It's not bone. It's the actual fuzz.
Yeah, it's not.
So it's super high quality. Super high quality. Yeah. By the way, the biomolecules are what allows you to literally simulate that you're a fetus again. That's why the ideal fetus is, number one, going to get all the biomolecules. They're also going to have epigenetic signals. Well, that's why we have things like hyperbaric oxygen, which, by the way, the uterus is hyperbaric, 1.2 atmospheres. Yeah. We also have scalar signaling. The mother and the placenta are probably sending scalar signals to help the baby develop into a baby. For example, one of the things we've discovered, and I have now the equipment because I just tried it over the weekend, is we can take the ion frequencies of each molecular atomic mineral, and we can actually translate those into the cells through light, microcurrent, sound, rise, standing waves, radionics, etc. And the simplest we have a little preamp. In fact, the whole system is probably less than $100. You can take a preamp from your MP3 player or your iPhone, download the specific frequency spectra for your particular illness, and we actually send the scalar atomic signal to actually resonate through this preamp, and it goes to an antenna that's about 10-inch antenna, and it actually will radiate your tissues to open up the ion channels to absorb the minerals. The thing is, every disease has a minerals deficiency signature. So, for example, if it's vascular disease, it might be selenium, zinc, and copper, so that you're not able to make superoxide dismutase 1 and 2, or you're not able to make nitric oxide. And, of course, you need molybdenum for that process. So if we send in the signal for molybdenum, zinc, and copper, and selenium, those are, for example, 4 of, not all of them, but then we have magnesium and manganese. If we send in these resonant signals, the ion channels open, then the nutrients which are in your mountain red velvet go into the tissues more avidly, and now you've got the gateway opening in from the cells into the tissue, and you have an entraining frequency, whether it's a sonic vibrational platform machine, and there's just auditory inputs into that machine right now. We're working with Accutron on doing that with a microcurrent device with Dr. Darren Starwin. The simplest is actually just get a preamp and get a little antenna that you can get through us through less EMF if you contact me. Now, why do we do this? Or you can play the music. You can actually play the sound. So when I exercise, I'm playing the harmonic resonant frequencies, and you can actually hear it and feel it affecting your body. It's pretty amazing, because what they do is they entrain the tissues to transfer the energy at the resonant frequencies, and it opens up the ion channels. So it creates what's called a morphogenic field therapy. And we have basically every form of energy: light, what's called biophotons, sound, scalar resonant frequencies, electromagnetics. In other words, we can literally use everything right down to microcurrent to actually entrain the tissues to open up the channels and then start the process of healing. Now, with Mountain Red Velvet, I'm almost complete my application here to Fish and Wildlife, which means when I have that, I'll be able to import the material, and then I have an encapsulating company that's going to put in capsules. And we're not changing the material. Really, that's why I tell people, buy it now. It's the exact same stuff. It's just going to be a slightly different capsules, probably in the new year. And that will mean when you take a capsule, you won't need to open one under your tongue. It'll go to your terminal ileum, and your body will convert it to micelle. Then it'll go through your splanchnic circulation, through your Peyer's patches and your bowel wall, to your Kupffer cells in your liver, and it'll go to micellization and target tissues going to the brain, heart, liver, kidneys, etc. When it does that, it means that each of your tissues will be even more able to simulate the presence and the visual, the life of a fetus. In other words, the biomolecules will present themselves to the tissue, and your body will say, hey, I was waiting for that molecule, now I got it. I can fix the liver.
Exactly.
From someone who had hepatitis.
And even in the best organic diet that you can have, and you cannot get all of these ingredients in anything other than Mountain Red Deer Velvet. And we bring it straight to you. It comes in a bottle of 60 capsules, so you can get this straight away and get it into the body and start healing. And even for those people who have suffered from injuries for a long time and say, oh, nothing works anymore, or I've tried this and I've tried that.
Yeah,
this is allowing the body to heal. Or
someone with chronic pain. See, pain is simply your brain telling you, splint it, don't move it, it's already partially broken, you would break it completely if you move it. Yeah. So that's the way teleologically the brain works in the nervous system. It's trying to splint you from don't move that broken organ. You know? Now, once it starts healing, the pain goes away because the splinting muscle spasms and the fasciitis and the swelling are not necessary anymore to try to split the organ that's partially torn or damaged.
Exactly.
The body and teleologically said, hey, I don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, and people have had old injuries, oh, no, I've had that all my life. Okay, I'm not going to heal now. And they've tried Mountain Red, and they're like, whoa, that's amazing, because I have tried every pharmaceutical product known to man. But the problem is building blocks.
All the pharmaceutical products known to man are prostaglandin blockers, which, by the way, will block good prostaglandin, so you'll end up with increased stroke and heart attack. They will increase drying out of your joints. So if you're taking, say, ibuprofen, you can expect that if you have chronic knee pain, and now with your ibuprofen you can go and do your golf game. Problem is your joint's drying out, and then you get fibrillated cartilage, and eventually you get bone on bone because there's no more hydrophysicus layer, so you rip it apart. But by the way, when it's happening, you don't know it's happening because your joints are dry and they're anesthetic.
Yeah.
It's the same way when you take Tylenols. Tylenol blocks this thing called substance P. Substance P is a pain-modulating molecule to tell you don't move the damn organ because you've injured it, like a partial tear of your rotator cuff of your shoulder. So when you take Tylenol, it doesn't fix anything. In fact, it just tells you, just ignore the pain, keep moving. It's almost like, just ignore the fact you hired the most corrupt person in modern, or even probably the last 5,000 years in history, evil politician, and you expect good things to happen out of it. When you start taking bad drugs, like I call the Hildebeest drugs, you're going to get really sick and things are going to happen to you. And, don't come whining to me if things go bad, because they're going to go bad if you take drugs or you vote for Hillary. I like to get my little dig in.
But this is it. This is what somebody can take this product today, and even if they've had an injury for a long time, and it's like, I've tried everything else. Please try Mountain Red Deer Velvet, because it brings all of the nutrients and goodness to the body, as you say, to allow it to heal. All the building blocks are there.
Now, what I do is there's a couple of cofactors I give with it: tendon mender and joint performance for rebuilding tendons and joints. But it works on everything. The brain, for example, you're trying to rebuild neural pathways. You want Neurogen and maybe Signaling, which is myelin basic protein if you have MS or peripheral neuropathy. If you're trying to rebuild your eyes, you might need Vision Max and cell detox glutathione, because you're trying to increase your levels of glutathione peroxidase activity. If you're trying to heal your bowel wall, you might be taking it along with, say, Nutrimune, which is immunoglobulins, and GastroHeal, which is incarnosine. But it doesn't matter what target organ. If you're taking it for your heart and you get your heart failure, you want to take it along with mitochondrial support like CoQ10, Ubiquinol, and Vascucare, and mitochondrial catalysts, uridine monophosphate, etc., to increase mitochondrial function. NADH and D-ribose, and our sports energy light drink that increases ATP levels. But the primary core thing is, without the building blocks, how do you expect to regenerate your organs? And 90% of disease is simply a matter that organs are getting old. Yes. They're not being rebuilt. The chronic pain is splinting. They're getting dysfunctional because with pain, you aren't physically active. And without physical activity, your bones get osteoporotic and your ligaments get weak.
And that's it. And when you tend to have an injury, you like you say, you want to splint it. You don't want to move, which adds all sorts of complications, because when the body's not moving, it gets more stiff and it doesn't want to get active. So you've got to keep that body moving. And when it's getting all this goodness back into those injuries or back into those joints that have been sore, and people are being more active, that's what the body needs. And those people who haven't moved for a long time, who may be carrying a bit more weight, and they're now getting out and walking and being able to get up out of the chair and things, these are really good properties that just help the body to heal.
Yeah, and what happens is that there's a misjudging what pain is. For example, I'm going to put out one of my e-books and videos I'm going to put out here shortly is What is Pain? And to be honest with you, all the doctors in the world are wrong, and I'm right. Now, that may seem arrogant, but I can actually prove it scientifically. I developed with Dr. Jim Hedgecock the first machine in the world, FDA approved, to be able to track A delta and C fiber, which are your pain fibers, which are myelinated nerve fibers that regulate pain. Now, those fibers come from a thing called the dermoepidermal junction, called the Langerhans junction. And I'm the first in the world to actually understand it fully and actually patented it into my patent in 1986. That's a few years ago. It's 30 years ago. The problem is most diseases, the doctors do not ask the right questions. What is cancer? What is chronic bronchitis? What is dementia? What is acute macular degeneration? And to be honest with you, most of these are actually deficiency of regenerating the organ and tissue function or preventing oxidative stress and getting rid of old damaged mitochondria and cells. It's that simple. It's almost like going to a construction site, like a Trump construction site, and say, look, get those old windows out of here, get all this debris out of here, somebody's going to get injured, wear your hard hats, make sure you have proper staging. The same principles of building a building come to recloning your body into a future.
Yes, and healing those old injuries and putting all the good nutrients and properties inside the body to allow it to be able to heal, to give it energy, to make it rest. There's lots of people out there who haven't had good night's sleep for years because of pain or stiffness in those joints. And when you're allowing the body to heal and sleep and be active, all sorts of good things happen.
Yeah, exactly. Now, some of the amazing things that I've seen happen with it are not expected. Like most people, when they take Mountain Red Velvet, they think about connective tissue. Like, I've got an old IT band problem or a sore knee, or they've got, let's say, a partial rupture of a tendon that got repaired, and they wonder if it's still not back to normal, still hurts, or it's not 100% tensile strength. For example, in these athletes that are pretty extreme, like football and basketball, how long do you think it takes for them to get 50% of the tensile strength of, say, a ruptured Achilles or ACL, PCL knee joint? It takes a year and a half.
Yeah.
Now, if you take Mountain Red Velvet, you take Collagen Max, you take Tendon Minute Joint Performance, you shrink that down from a year and a half to maybe 6 months or less.
Wow.
Big deal. Now, if you have plastic surgery and you want to heal after your plastics, if you're not taking Mountain Red Velvet and Collagen Max at the very minimum, why? You want your skin to heal and tensile strength to return to the new margins of your skin? We have an amazing array of nutraceuticals. We're always working on advancing. We just launched our Nutri-Silver. We also launched our new hormone creams, which are the DHEA, pregnenolone, and progesterone, which is now called just pregnenolone cream. They're a different type of pump, so it's 4 pumps equals one of the older style pump. We're maybe also launching testosterone and estrogen. We have a new form of indium that's coming as well. Indium is really excellent at chaperoning minerals in. Again, remember, the effect of red wine is to actually chaperone minerals into your cells. But when you actually have all the nutrients there with Mountain Red Velvet, you have everything to rebuild you. In fact, I like to have taglines below the bottle for Mountain Red Velvet is to build a better you. How's that?
Exactly.
To build a better you.
And you can with all of that on board.
Yeah, clone yourself into a new 7-year-old body 7 years from now. So that's the real amazing thing about it, is that most of aging and disease and suffering are simply a matter that you didn't clone yourself properly the last number of months or years, and you have an inferior copy of your previously healthy body.
Yes.
If you have the building blocks, you can do it. That's the other tagline. Now I can do this. But it's making better connections in your brain, making a healthier liver after your hepatitis recovery, reversing heart failure, making your skin, hair, and nails look beautiful, along with Collagen Max and our Her Majesty's Royal Jelly. If you want to be a better you, you need to have the building blocks. You need to be a fetus again. Take Mountain Red Velvet, and you will. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Dr.